All right, we're going to look at a whole bunch of Kentucky Derby horses here in the next few days, and we're going to start with Journalism, who is probably the expected favorite, certainly going to be the favorite in the race. You know, even though seems like some of the tarnish has come off him a tiny bit after the Santa Anita Derby, people weren't too impressed with the horses behind him coming in. Baeza only had a maiden win, and Westwood was still a maiden, and they finished second and third in the race. And the margin was less than a length, and the figure went backwards 6 points. And there were even people, nitpicking at his workout here on April 19th, which I'll show you. And I thought it was a good workout, his comeback workout the other day. But here is Journalism. 5 starts, 4 wins, 4 two-turn route races, all 4 wins. He breaks the gates good. He always finishes better than anyone in the race. And we'll get to his Santa Anita Derby now. The Santa Anita Derby, Journalism drew the rail, post 1. Baeza for John Sheriffs. No one, and I mean no one, could get a horse tight for a big race like John Sheriffs. And he really, I'll show you after the race, but he really tuned up Baeza coming into this. Baeza, $1.2 million yearling, May full. A little late to develop, but Baeza run a monster race. But anyway, Journalism's the one. He's always quick from the gates. He always finishes strong, and we'll watch the race now.
Loaded smoothly. And they're off in the Santa Anita Derby. And a very even break. Citizen Bull is flashing his natural speed. He's got company immediately from Westwood, and Journalism backs off the top pair. Barnes will come from off the pace today, and Baeza is at the back of the field. So it is the long shot Westwood who gets to the front. Martin Garcia guides Citizen Bull to his outside now, and will run in the 2-path to the 6-furlong pole. Journalism is down at the rail, joined by Barnes. Barnes takes third as they move toward the back stretch, and Baeza is at the back. Just 3.5 lengths covers the field. And it is Westwood on even terms with Citizen Bull. They race together as one. 2.5 more lengths back to Barnes in third. Baeza is inching forward. He's getting into the race right away. And there goes Baeza after Citizen Bull, who has the lead past the 5/8 pole. Journalism is down at the rail. Extremely compact field. There's a half-mile left to go in the Santa Anita Derby. And it's the 2-year-old champ, Citizen Bull, and Martin Garcia just in front. Westwood is now backing out of it. Baeza running a big race. He's clearly in second. Journalism is hard-ridden at the back of the field, and the trailer is Barnes. They're coming to the quarter pole, and Citizen Bull's been in front throughout. Baeza up alongside the challenge, and now Journalism is revving up a clear-cut third. They're at the top of the stretch in the Santa Anita Derby, and here's Baeza. Baeza forges past Citizen Bull, and Journalism is kicking into high gear. Journalism and Baeza in a Santa Anita Derby showdown. It is Journalism just in front of Baeza. Write this down. Journalism is the best in the West as he wins the Santa Anita Derby.
The Santa Anita Derby, and there was some cat and mouse going on there. John Sheriffs had 2 in the race. Westwood and Baeza. Baffert had 2. He had Citizen Bull and Barnes, and it really looked like they were trying to box. Rather, Citizen Bull's a horse that wants to be loose on the lead. All his good races have come when he's been loose on the lead, and right here it looks like he's just trying to mess Journalism around, box him in a little bit. And then Westwood, when he stalls, he kind of keeps Journalism in a bit, and there's just a little cat and mouse stuff you'll see. And Journalism had to take hold there behind Citizen Bull after he got him to check up a little bit. Now Citizen Bull is going to come out and try to take over the pace. He's controlling the pace outside, and he's going to go to the lead here. So you see Journalism in this pocket back here. Baeza was last, about 3-4 wide through the turn, and then, man, he run a good race. I mean, it's pretty hard to believe he might not get into the Derby, they're saying. But right here, you're going to see Westwood stall at 40-1, and Umberto Respoli's got to work his way out around the 3. You're going to see it get tight here. See him take up there, kind of checked him twice, took up a little. Now he's got to drive him up to the outside, and not the smoothest of trips for journalism, but he's got great initial speed from the gate, good enough early speed that he could get a position. And then, you see here, he always finishes up better than anyone. So, I mean, what people were knocking about this race was the final time. The final time here was 1:49.56 for a mile and an eighth. The track was really, really slow this day, though. I mean, you can see it's on the deeper side there. And Tenma, the only other two-turn dirt route this day was Tenma in the Santa Anita Oaks. And it might have been the slowest Santa Anita Oaks in the history of the race. So here's Tenma. Now, the times all day that day were there was a stake race at 6.5 furlongs that went like 118. I think it was like Calbred Philly 3-year-old stake, but they went 6.5 and 118. Tenma and the Santa Anita Oaks, again, only other two-turn dirt route that day at Santa Anita, April 5th, 146.15 for a mile and a 16th. Let's see. They gave her a 75 buyer is all. When you run that slow, you got to give her a 75, or else you're gonna have these maiden, but you're gonna have Baeza running like a 107 or something. But let's see if we can find a slower Santa Anita Oaks than 146.15. All right, here's a list of all the Santa Anita Oaks past races here, and you see some great names here. Here's Rags to Riches here. Here's Midnight Bisou. Generally nice horses. Songbird, Beholder. Anyway, 146.15. Last year they went 143.21. Year before 143.27. Year before that 143.50. 144.35, 143.20. All right, 146.15 is the mark. We're looking for a slower one. And, I mean, there can't be one slower than this unless... Okay, so I found one slower. You got to go back to Miss Musket, Charlie Whittingham, 1974, 147 on a track labeled Heavy. Have you ever seen a Santa Anita's track labeled Heavy? Well, it was when Miss Musket went 147 for the 8.5. And she was a horse that got put into a match race against Chris Evert and lost the match race by like 50 lengths. Let's see. Dumpty's Lady by Dumpty Humpty down here. Larry Rose, the trainer, went 146 and 16. That's even 15/100s faster. So you got one other one here, Lamb Chop in the mud. So it was the slowest one ever on a fast track. So yeah, when Tenma is winning the Santa Anita Oaks in 146.15, don't knock 149 for a mile and an eighth. I mean that's like 30 points better on numbers. I mean it's there was nothing wrong with the time. The time can't be knocked. If you're really going to bet against journalism because this is only 149 and 2, not a good reason. And there's Baeza, and like I said, he didn't have a great form coming into the race, but he was an improving horse. This is a May 3-year-old they paid $1.2 million for as a yearling, and they debuted him on grass. He didn't run a step. Then he kind of runs second to Rodriguez, eventual Wood Memorial winner, but still that was a pretty moderate performance. Breaks through breaks through in the maiden special, and then John Sheriff's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 breezes into this race, and 2 of them 6. I don't think this horse ever worked 6 furlongs before. It never has been a fast workhorse, but he had a 6 furlong in 1:10 and 2 on March 15th. The races that day didn't even go that fast. There were 4 6 furlong sprint races at Santa Anita on March 15th, and 3 of them went much slower than this workout time, which you never see horses work faster in the morning than they run in races in the afternoon. Granted, they weren't like stake races, or I think the one race that did go faster was an allowance race, but still, I mean, that's a morning work. I mean, John Sheriffs can put the screws to him with the best, get him tight for a big race, and he got Baeza really tight to fire here, and he did fire, and this is no reason to knock journalism that this horse is second, in my opinion. I mean, this is a horse that had a right to improve and did improve. But yeah, I think that's really what the naysayers are going to hang their hat on is who is journalism beating? I mean, beat Barnes here and got a great number, but Barnes come back and run horrible. But you could see in Barnes's works that he was clearly regressing after the San Felipe, and this was the race where journalism kind of exposed Barnes, and then afterwards Barnes just worked terrible in the mornings and laid an egg in the Santa Anita Derby, and then Rodriguez was beaten double digits here, third beaten 11 and a quarter lengths, and comes back and wins the Wood next start. So as far as the April 19th work, his first work back at Santa Anita, we'll watch the workout now, his first work back after the Santa Anita Derby. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I don't know why people weren't too impressed by it, but I'll pull it up. So here's journalism's first work back after the Santa Anita Derby, and he's actually on the inside. He's on the inside. Field of Magic is on the outside. Field of Magic was a recent winner of a maiden 50. And I saw some comments. Maybe they thought journalism was the horse on the outside. I don't know, but I mean, this work was 47. It was a good time. I didn't see anything wrong with it. You can watch here. They're going to let a team go. But yeah, journalism breaks off in front on the inside, and they got a horse that went wire to wire going 6.5 in a maiden 50 last time to his outside, and really just just keeping him honest in this workout. It's if you look at his workout times, I haven't watched all of his workouts, but he's not a quick workhorse. He looks good to me here. He's going real nice, going real easy. I don't know what was wrong with that. I mean, that looks like a pretty serious horse working right there to me. So, but yeah, that's journalism's most recent work. I don't know how anyone could knock the Santa Anita Derby or knock that. I mean, the Santa Anita Derby was nothing exciting or special, but I mean, he was put in a tough spot there. He kind of had to check and steady twice, and comments says shuffled, bumped. It just it wasn't some kind of highlight reel memorable performance, but it was a solid performance by a solid horse who always seems to leave the gate well, always out finishes everything in his races. And if you're backing him in the Kentucky Derby, hopefully he breaks like he's broken his 4 route races in California, because he leaves the gate real quick. I mean, in his first few strides from the gate are real good. Um, You want him to break like he has been, and you want him to settle into a nice position, where he's not in a whole bunch of traffic. And yeah, I think having more horses in the race is just going to force a stronger pace, a more honest pace, and this horse should be the kind that should be able to work out a trip. Now, when you're in the middle of a 20 horse pack, I mean, there's going to be a lot of traffic, a lot of dirt kickback, a lot of trouble. He's been in short fields, 5, 5, 5. His maiden win was a 10 horse field, but he's been in tight quarters in some of these races, real tight quarters actually, and he's always finished strong. This horse is just rock solid. I mean, I can't find a knock with him. Is he some superstar? I don't know, but there's nothing on paper I can knock. And then, his pedigree's curling out of an Uncle Mo mare. One thing about Uncle Mo, he run one of the greatest 2-year-old performances ever at Churchill Downs when he won the 2010 Breeders' Cup Juvenile at Churchill by a huge margin. And the Ragozin figure for Uncle Mo when he won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, that there was the Breeders' Cup Classic later on in that card that had the ballyhooed, Zenyatta and Curlin, and or Zenyatta and Blame. Blame held on and beat Zenyatta, but if you look at the Ragozin figures for that day, I think Uncle Mo ran as good a number as Blame did winning the Breeders' Cup. You never see that. You never see the juvenile get a Ragozin number even close to the classic top 3. And, Uncle Mo run a hole in the wind at Churchill Downs. And, his second dam's out of Bernardini. There's no real knock that I could find with this horse anywhere, whether it's pedigree, whether it's his races. And I mean, yeah, he's been in short fields. Yeah, Baeza just win a maiden, and Barnes is bombed, and Getaway Car's Getaway Car. And, so there's going to be some things to keep his price up, but this is, this is a horse that's going to be difficult to beat if you're trying to beat him. And if you're backing him, you're certainly going to get your money's worth backing him as far as a horse that should be, a real strong contender, especially into the far turn. And a serious horse. Journalism is a serious horse. Maybe we'll find one or two that we like more as we go along, but I think this is a solid horse that I got no knocks on.